Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would just do a quick story about my labor and delivery. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Yeah, so let's just jump right in. So I had a pretty good pregnancy, right? Just listening for my daughter. She's sleeping. Not in her crib, obviously. She doesn't sleep in her crib yet. But I had a really good pregnancy. I didn't have morning sickness. I was just kind of tired a lot in the beginning. So I had a good pregnancy. Around the end, it was like 37 weeks, maybe 38. It was right around my due date. I started having contractions like the night before I went into labor. So it was all day long I was having contractions, and then I wasn't sure about them. It's my first pregnancy, so I had no clue, right? So I kept saying, like, how will I know? I kept asking people, how am I going to know if I'm going into labor? How do I know if they're contractions? And everyone's like, you'll know, you'll know. Well, they were like, I was having back labor. Like, it was the sharpest pain in my back ever. But they weren't consistent. So my doctor said to wait until they are like 5 to 10 minutes apart and they're consistent. Well, they were never consistent. So we went to bed. I had them throughout my whole sleep. I didn't sleep good. I got up around 4 to go to the bathroom, 4 in the morning. And then I went back to bed and I felt something weird, right? My water was breaking. So I hopped out of bed, ran into the bathroom, yelled at my husband, said, my water broke. Luckily, it was right before he had to go to work. That would have been horrible. So, first thing I do is I call my mom. Of course, everyone calls their mom, right? Me and my mom are really close, so I love my mom to death. So I call her, and I say, my water broke. So I ask her, what do I do? She says, you go to the hospital. So, I asked her, what can I do? Can I eat? Can I go to the bathroom? I was so hungry. She goes, yeah, do whatever you want. Just make sure you get to the hospital. So of course I do my makeup. I wasn't really having contractions yet. My stomach just felt really tight because my water broke. So I got my makeup done. So we got to the hospital around 5:30. I started having contractions on the way there. Now, when your water breaks, it's not just a little bit. Like, your water keeps breaking. It just keeps on going. It'll stop a little bit, and then it'll come again, and it'll go, and it'll stop, it'll go, it'll stop. Just does not stop. So, we get to the hospital, and I have to go in a wheelchair. Now, my husband's truck is big, so that was not very fun getting into and out of while I was in labor. It was no fun, but I did it. And I got to the hospital, we went into triage, she checked me, I was about 3 centimeters then. I was having contractions then, they were pretty painful, and she asked me if I wanted an epidural, and if I did when I wanted it. I said yes, ASAP. Like, as soon as I possibly can, I want it. I don't want to wait. A lot of women like to wait and see how far they can go. Not me. Nope. I don't like pain. No, not me. So, as soon as we got up to our room, I told them I wanted an epidural, so they had to get the other, I forgot what they call them. They have a certain name, I just don't remember what they are. But she had to come in and give me the epidural. Now, it's kind of painful. It's very, it's a weird pain. It's like a lot of pressure in your spine, like tons of pressure. But you're having contractions then. So I was able to focus on those contractions while she was doing it, and I had the best nurse. She was amazing. And I had to hold the pillow here, and the end of the bed was right here, so I had to lean over and like kind of hunch a little bit, but I had to not move. So I sat crisscross applesauce, hunched over, but my nurse was like holding my head, so I was like this, and she was just like, it's okay, it's okay. It was the best. But as soon as I got the epidural, I didn't feel a thing. I felt great. I was basically, my whole body was numb, like from my waist down. I could still feel things, but it was like it was a weird feeling. It was like, kind of like when your feet fall asleep or something, like tingly. Yeah, so I had my friends and family all in the room, and they were doing, they were like, I can't believe you right now. Like my charts that I had contractions that were going like huge contractions, but I didn't feel them. I was just having the greatest time of my life. I did though, since I had to, I got the epidural. They had to give me a catheter, which they didn't leave it in. They had to keep draining my bladder, and I already have a small bladder. Like I always have to pee, so they had to do it like 5 times. But so I went from, let's see, the 3 centimeters when I got there in triage, got to the room. I was like 5 centimeters after the epidural, and then they kind of, the doctor broke the rest of my water, and then she checked about 10 minutes later, and I went from 5 centimeters to 8 centimeters in like 10 minutes. And they wanted me to try and go further than 10 centimeters so I didn't have to push as long. But there was no way. Like I felt, they say it feels like you have to poop, like that pressure. But I mean it does, but it's like, I don't know. Like it wasn't painful, but it was so much pressure and just trying not to push. Like it just, I did not feel so good. I had my mom in there and my husband in there, and they did awesome. They were such a good team. Now I pushed for about 55 minutes. I was 10 centimeters and started pushing, and it was a different experience because I've never had a child before. So it was a different experience, but it was hard, but it was easy because I had the epidural. And then the last like 2 pushes were the hardest part, because she was almost out, and I had to wait for every contraction to be able to push. But as soon as she came out, oh my gosh, it was so relieving. And I did the skin to skin, so we held her, and then as I hold her, they pull the placenta out, which I thought it was going to be the worst part. My mom told me it was the most painful part, but I didn't even know. I'm like, did they get it out? But they did. And then I did tear a little bit. They had to stitch me up. And then after that, they give you like, at least the hospital I was at, they give you like that golden hour where you get to bond, you and your husband or your significant other get to bond with your child, and they teach you how to breastfeed. And then they eventually got us up to our room that we stayed overnight in. Now that night I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep at all. I was a new mom, and the hospital I went to, they don't take them like at all to the nursery. It's only for babies that are ill. So it was just a long night, and I had a really bad headache after the epidural. Now, if you get an epidural and they tell you that you can get a headache, you make sure you tell them that you have a headache. I told them, but I wanted to get out of there the next day, that I said that my headache was feeling better. It wasn't as bad as it was. But it was horrible. They gave me a Percocet right before I left. So I felt better. But then by the time I got home, I was in so much pain. So much pain. It was called, I don't know if I mentioned this in another video, but if I didn't, I had a spinal headache. It's basically where if you stand up or sit up, all of that pressure, the fluid basically leaked. Like they hit something and I was leaking spinal fluid. So, in my epidural. So, that fluid was gone where it hits, like when you stand up, it hits like, basically there was no cushion. That makes sense. I'm not a medical student or a doctor, so I'm not sure what I'm talking about. But this is how they kind of explained it to me. And then, so it was very painful, and that's why I'm not breastfeeding, because it was too hard, because I had to go back to the emergency room twice, because I was in so much pain. So if you do get an epidural, and you're not feeling very well, afterwards, you make sure you tell your doctor, and don't leave the hospital until they fix it, because we had to pay 2 other co-pays to go back. So that was no fun. But, so basically my delivery, it was pretty simple. The hardest part was before the epidural and then the recovery. Especially being a new parent, like you have no idea what you're doing. You can prepare as much as you want, but I mean, no one's ever ready, you know. I mean, it's really tough, but it is the best feeling. It really is. I just love being a mom. I do have a lot of hard times though. I had, well, my camera cut off. But I had a little bit of postpartum. I'm not sure exactly if it was postpartum. I still deal with it a little bit. I have a lot of anxiety beforehand, but it's gotten worse since then. But afterwards, I had a hard time emotionally dealing with becoming a mom and your whole entire life changing and your hormones are all over the place. So it was a little difficult for me. But I'm doing a lot better. I give thanks to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without Him, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't be able to get through day to day without Him. So, yeah, it was tough, and it still is, but I get through it day to day. But yeah, that is my quick little story about my delivery, and my recovery. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sorry, it's really hot in this room. Well, it's not really, it's 74 degrees in here, so I guess it's not, but I'm going to go eat some dinner now, go check on my babe, and then maybe do some laundry. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, leave me some comments down below, and then if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Alright, well, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!